Edwin, wake up, I said as I walked into the cockpit. What? The ship controls itself, he said mid-yawn. Nevertheless, you shouldn't sleep, I said and pushed his feet off my chair. Then he looked at me with a smile. His smile is always so contagious. I couldn't help but smile back. I have a present for you, he said and handed me a gold star necklace. In training you always said you wanted to see the stars up close. I saw myself in the reflection and then I looked at Edwin. I corrected my face and leaned backwards. I didn't know why I did that. Maybe I didn't want to admit I liked him despite his annoying character, or maybe I was just afraid to let him in, knowing the rules and their consequences. Thanks, I said, and saw his face turn grey as he looked away. I felt heavy as I saw his eyes drifting away in the emptiness of space. Why did he put me in this position? I shouldn't feel guilty for rejecting his clear intentions. I'm sorry, I said, as I pulled my tightened fist from my chest and reached it out towards him. Then he pulled away from his troubled thoughts and smiled again. It's okay, keep it, he said. I smiled back at him. Suddenly, the room turned red and a loud alarm echoed through the ship. Before I could react, a shockwave ripped through the ship, shaking me to my core. Quickly, we reached for a spacesuit as the oxygen rapidly began to drop. As I looked around and assessed the damage, the alarm turned off and the ship turned dark. The only light coming from the windows and the glowing emergency stripes. I looked at Edwin as his feet left the ground, and I realized I was floating as well. Then a second wave hit the ship and ripped a tear through the ceiling. As I looked into the endless void of space, I saw one of our other ships. I looked back at Edwin, who saw the ship as well, and tried to start the radio. With all my strength, I pushed myself off the wall. Be careful, Edwin said as I moved towards the tear. As I went through it, I grabbed the sides, but then the necklace slipped out of my glove and began drifting away. Without thinking, I let go of the ship and felt myself floating in space. As I grabbed it, Edwin grabbed my other hand and pulled me back towards the ship. You care more about it than I thought, he said. I can use it to sign the ship, I said with a teasing smile and aimed the necklace towards the ship in the distance. Open up the star, he said. As I opened it, it revealed the little mirrors inside. You are the star from within, he said as I looked into the mirrors. As he kept me grounded to the ship, I signed with the little mirrors. Come on, we said in harmony. Then the nose of the ship turned towards us. Edwin cheered and pulled me towards him. His embrace felt so secure. But then more space debris hit our ship and yanked it from underneath us. With a big gasp, I woke up and stared into the darkness. Then I noticed the bleeping sound and looked at my wrist. 2 minutes of oxygen. As I moved my arm, I felt a tube pulling tight. I looked at the direction and saw Edwin motionless floating beside me. Edwin! Edwin! Wake up! Finally, he opened his eyes, which quickly turned into fear. I saw his lips move, but I couldn't hear him over the intercoms. The ships are gone, I said, as he looked around. Then he looked at his wrist, and I saw his face turn from fear to despair. I pulled him close into my embrace. After a few moments, he pushed himself to arm's length and pointed at himself. You? I said. He shook his head. I? He nodded and formed a heart with his hands. Love? I said. Then he pointed at me. Then I pointed to the moon and back to us. I love you to the moon and back, I said, and handed him the necklace. You are my star, I said, and held him until my mind slipped away into darkness.